I'm talking here with Barbara Race, former executive vice president in the Trump Organization, where she worked for Donald Trump for 18 years, and she is also the author of the book Tower of Lies, What My 18 Years of Working with Donald Trump Reveals About Him, published in 2020. Barbara, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So my first question, I'm just going to get right into it. My first question is, how did you survive? You're a woman working for a notoriously eccentric man, I'll put it that way. How did you survive, Barbara?
Well, for one thing, he was quite different then. It was harder to survive being a woman out in the field, building, working on the project.
On a project.
With the guys and, all this harassment and, stuff like that. Trump was not bad like that. With other women, secretaries and stuff, he'd give them the eye and everything. But back then, he was not like he is now. When I heard that comment on that one famous comment, I won't repeat it, I almost fell off my chair. I don't think I ever heard him say that word.
Really? You didn't recognize him when he said that?
Well, I didn't think he would talk like that. I didn't. So, it had been a number of years. And now I look back and I see he didn't pay me as much as he could have. He cheated me out of something that he promised me. And that really upset me. But it was fun working there. I mean, the perks were nonstop because everyone wanted to give him something, and he didn't want all of it. So, we'd always get tickets to plays and things like that.
Yes.
And events like Michael Jackson. I brought my niece to see Michael Jackson on his ticket. He yelled a lot.
He yelled a lot.
And I read someone's book that said that he was always browbeating. That is not the case at all.
No.
But he browbeat everyone, so you have to say, yeah, a little bit, but not in public. When it came to bad stuff, like really, he didn't do that to me. And if he had, I quit. And years later, I did.
What was your initial attraction to working to sort of entering his world? What was your initial attraction to signing on to work for Donald Trump?
It was a big job with big responsibility, at least half again my salary. It was kind of exciting. It was, Trump and Ivana and Donald were the, well, they weren't quite the couple, but they were on their way to become the couple. And the project was, the way he described it to me, was fantastic, and he was right. He described it properly to me, with the different levels and the retail and where the retail is coming from. I was anxious to do it. I didn't really know how to do it, but because I was superintendent on the Hyatt Hotel when he asked me, but I was happy to do it.
And the project we're talking about is Trump Tower.
Yes.
Do you, when you're in the city and you go by it, what kind of feeling do you get?
It's not the building we built. And it can't be. I mean, it was a different time where they used to spend so much money on keeping the marble polished, and they had a piano, a beautiful piano in front of the elevators. So when I walk past it, I have memories. I don't like going in it, to be honest with you. It's not kept up well.
So how do you even, take me back a little bit, how do you even describe Trump Tower as a project? How did he describe that to you?
How did he describe it? Well, he said that it would be the highest rentals in the city, maybe the world, and the most beautiful finishes and the apartments and people. He told me, explained the retail to me and the kind of shops that were coming in, and it was good. And I also knew by the company I worked for, where he pulled me from, was going to do the job, so I knew everyone there, so I was pretty comfortable with it. And it just sounded great to me. It reached a point where I was dealing with these fabulous architects and engineers, and all of a sudden I'm dealing with these people that have 5,000 square foot offices, and they're giving me crap, excuse the expression. I didn't need that. I wasn't. And I didn't see any jobs in any big projects in the future, so I just left. And I went and I built something for Hart's Mountain. My name is on the cornerstone. I can't believe that still. And then, I had nothing to do. It was the same thing. I'm sitting in a beautiful office with nothing to do. I went back to talk to Trump. And of course, he hired me on the spot. He put me in charge of the construction for all the projects. And he put me on Trump City at the time, which
Okay.
became, I think it was Television City for a while, and then it became Trump City, and it was Trump Place, but everything had to be the biggest and the best, you know, megalomaniac, absolutely. So, you know, if you were working for him and he liked you, you know, he'd talk about you, you'd be the greatest, you'd be standing in front of the big crowd, all the rest of them, and stuff like. He said that I was the first woman to ever build a construction project. That may be true, but I mean, he just assumed it.
Right. Just said it. So, and that's so interesting because we do have this sort of, there is this impression that he's so terrible to women, and because of those comments, which I won't repeat either.
Yeah.
But he also, I mean, in a way, he was very groundbreaking in that he did have these women working on these projects, and during a time when things were notoriously difficult for women to break in, and there was the whole glass ceiling thing.
In my field, but not in the other fields. Women were in advertisement, women were in sales and real estate. So it was so groundbreaking. I mean, hiring me, you know, when he interviewed me in his apartment on Fifth Avenue, he said, you know, men are better than women, but a good woman is better than 10 good men. And he thought that was the ultimate compliment. But you see, he really did believe that men in general perform better than women. And he knew in his heart and believed this, that no woman could ever be his equal or even close to it.
Be his
So
equal.
he would hire a woman and he wouldn't be challenged. Not, you know, in that way, you know what I'm saying. And he also knew that women tended to work for less money, and that women were always on their toes. They worked harder and they worked smarter, and the reason for that was they were always on the defensive. They were always having to prove themselves. And the sad thing about that statement is much of it is still true. You can have mediocre men, but you really want, the women are supposed to be the greatest, you know. Like I used to say, subcontractors, you have any women? Well, I have one woman, but she's the best tin knocker we have. Because you wouldn't, you wouldn't get into it. You wouldn't try to do that job if you weren't really good at it.
As you mentioned, you entered, I mean, this was a time when it was unheard of for women to have leadership roles. And
In construction?
in construction.
Unheard of for them to have any role, so to speak. I mean, you know.
What was it like? I mean, what was it like being in that position where you did have to have this mega project, Trump Tower? You had to manage this mega project, but at the same time, you had to manage being a woman in power. At the same time, managing a team of other people who might not, you know, who may feel that they know more than you and they could do what you're doing. How did you? Besides being gorgeous, as you mentioned.
I got less gorgeous as time went on.
How did you manage that stress? I mean, what did you know, what were some of your strategies? I mean, if you did have any, like, how did you do it?
You know, I didn't have that kind of competition. I was pretty well respected when I got to Trump Tower because I was a vice president. It was at the Hyatt that, and the jobs I had beforehand, that I got the harassment, and I was given a really hard time. So in Trump Tower, while it was in construction, there was some genius artists that, you know, the stairwell walls were not painted; they were, you know, just raw, and you know, but they were completed. And there was a guy that would draw pictures on the walls of me and Ivana, horrible pictures. You know, like stick pictures, but horrible stick pictures.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to do something about it because I couldn't let that go. It would show that I was allowing myself to be disrespected. But if I said, "Give me your," then, oh, she can't take a joke. And that's, by the way, what I lived with. You know, people say you have a potty mouth. I couldn't speak in construction if I didn't have a potty mouth. And it's ironic that they would all say, "Oh, a dirty mouth," you know. If I did it, I was wrong. If I didn't do it, I was wrong. But this artist, I thought about it, here's what I did. I had a labor foreman, a wonderful guy, his name was Augie. I said to him, every time something shows up, I want you to have a man walk the stairways 3 times a day. Anytime one of these works of art shows up, got a can of paint and a brush, just paint over it. That's all. Just white paint over it. And it stopped almost immediately. Because the guy, I mean, he wasn't getting any attention, and he clearly wasn't upsetting me.
Do you think things have changed
In what way?
in terms of acceptance? I mean, we of course know that women are a lot more in C-suite positions now, but that sort of attention attitude, that antagonizing, in your experience, have you noticed a change from that, from your early days into your later career?
See, I'm not in the field so much, so I don't know, but I see it in the street a little bit. And, you know, I'm working on an article about women in construction. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But, you know, it's ironic. When you're walking down the street, you see construction workers outside the site.
Yes.
When there's a woman there, they behave better. And all the statistics, company after company after company, the numbers go up when there are women. So men work harder, I guess. I don't know. But it shows that diversity and also, you know, people of color, different languages, improve the bottom line. And they improve the way people feel about the job and, you know, self-confidence and everything. And that is so important. A lot of companies don't realize how important that is, you know, that the people be happy. So I think that has helped at that level, but in the higher levels, I'm not so sure. I don't know that they get up there in the higher levels. And I don't know even that there's a pool of people to drain from that have the kind of experience that I had, so to speak. But the numbers, that you keep seeing, every so often you're seeing women breaking the glass ceiling in construction, women making advances in construction. In 1978, President Carter made an order against discrimination against women, executive order, and the guidelines were set, and there was supposed to be 6.8% of women in the trades working on federal projects. At the time, it was like 3. It wasn't enforced. You know, the company said, we can't get the women, which is why. Said the women don't want to do it. Many of them said women shouldn't be doing it. You know what it is now? That was 78. It was 3-ish percent.
3%, okay.
Maybe 4.5.
Now.
In the trades, absolutely.
Yeah. What advice would you give women now who are looking to really be that woman-owned business in construction? You know, what leadership advice would you give them?
Well, I did a lot of speaking about this, but I was speaking mostly about women in the trades or women engineers, not so much business owners. I would say that you have to be patient. You have to allow people to be human. You got to step back. You know, you can't overreact to everything. But then this is more for women, like I said, in the field that, you know, harassment and stuff like that. But I said, you know, you got to write things down. You got to report it. If an incident like that happens, you have to tell somebody else. Go to the head of the business room. Go to the HR people. But for a woman that's got a woman-owned business in construction, I would say be part of the group. In other words, join the associations and things like that. Don't stand out. You stand out already. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. Be one of them instead of trying to get into the crowd. And that's very important. And you know, self-confidence is the most important thing a person can have. If you believe in yourself, you're going to make it. So they can't be denigrated. They can't allow themselves to be denigrated. They have to show that they're qualified, prove themselves, but not in a way that, I don't know how they would do it if they weren't qualified. It really upsets me.
Yeah.
And talk to other women, absolutely. You know, I had no one to talk to ever, except my husband, and if I told him what was happening, go and kill somebody.
Yeah.
So I had no one to talk to about what was going on. But women, certainly, I never had any women to talk to. And women should seek out other business owners, successful business owners, mentors. Same thing with minorities.
And pay it forward, right? And
absolutely.
Looking back.
You be a mentor for the next one coming up.
Can I ask you a controversial question?
I love them.
If Trump were to call you up today
Uh-huh.
and say, I want someone to build my presidential library, to manage the building of my presidential library or memoriam or whatever he wants, would you take the job?
Absolutely not. But you know what? He would never do that. He knows me. He knows that I wouldn't kiss his ass, follow him around, all that stuff.